Right, welcome back. Episode 5 of the Lift Lounge. And today's session we're going to cover
some hot topics.
Spicy.
How great. How are you before we get into
I am
this?
great. It has been a whole 3 minutes since our last podcast. So we are very fresh and ready to speak.
We've been speaking for half an hour already, so
Yeah.
that should flow off the tongue a little bit nicer than the last one. But let's go over some of the topics that we're going to be covering anyway. You want to just dive straight into it?
Let's go straight in. So I mean, these hot topics, as everyone can probably imagine, are going to be ones that might diversify, split people in half. Some people might agree with, some might not. That's why they're hot. And also things that are just worth talking about because everyone's talking about them at the minute.
Yeah, so we've tried to grab these probably from social media, most of them, TikTok, whatnot, whatever's trending. But yeah, don't get annoyed at as if our opinion differs.
Yeah, we're allowed to have a different opinion.
Yeah. So let's just dive into the first one, maybe straight with a very, very hot one here. You wanna start off?
Yeah. So right, let's get the most controversial one out the way. So this one is healthy at every size. So what that's alluding to is it fine to be massively overweight because you can be healthy at every single size there is? What do you think about that? I'll pass the torch back.
Okay, well, let's probably put me in the hot seat first then. Okay, so my opinion's probably, it's going to take me a while to get like my full opinion across. Straight off the bat, when I look at this topic, I disagree with it, right? So can you be super healthy if you are extremely overweight? Probably not, to be honest. And I think promoting a message of healthy at every size could potentially be quite detrimental as well to people that need to make change or want to make change. So let's just maybe put me in the shoes of someone that is finding a hard time losing weight. They're overweight. And let's say I'm looking at that message and I'm thinking, well, other people are telling me that I can be healthy at every size. So do I actually need to lose weight? Do I need to go to the gym? Do I need to start my fat loss journey if I can be healthy anyway? Part of me would probably think no. And then I think that's going to be quite detrimental.
If we want to look at it purely from a scientific point of view, if you are overweight, you are at risk of dying from some disease related to your overweightness way more likely than someone who is not overweight. And it's just as black and white as that. Yeah. So it's not healthier. Now, can you be healthier at every size? You can start to become healthier. I agree with that wholly. And I would say the every size part, we're not saying if you're 7 foot, you can't be healthy. We are saying if you're overweight, essentially, every body weight, could you be healthy? And it goes the same for underweight as well. There's health effects for being underweight and overweight for both sides. Neither are good. And that doesn't mean we're both saying you should have a 6-pack, you should be shredded, you should be an absolute god in terms of fitness. You just need to get closer to where you're meant to be healthier.
Yeah, like that's not me saying that if you are, slightly overweight or slightly underweight. Or
if you've got a dad bod, like it's not like you're going to die.
I'm not saying you're unhealthy, but like, could you be healthier? But then that's a touchy subject because everyone could probably be healthier, because even if you are at a healthy weight, if I have a look into your lifestyle and your habits, there's probably loads of things that you're doing that are like unhealthy. So like everyone can be healthier, but I think this just comes to the extremes. I think when you maybe start looking at obesity and maybe people that are like anorexic and stuff like that, that's when it really comes into like that message could actually be quite damaging, because it could be stopping people from starting a journey that they actually really do need to start. And that's going to be in the extreme cases.
Yeah. And we'll close that one there.
I think that's a quick way to get our point across on that one without ruffling too many feathers.
Well, what do people expect? I mean, we're a couple of fitness coaches. We obviously are going to promote you being in shape. So
why would you not want to be in shape?
Exactly. So you want to lead into the next one there?
Carnivore diet. We kind of touched on this before. It's
briefly.
Really, really, really popular though.
Yeah.
It's like every second TikTok I go on is someone showing me their
fat steak on a big chopping board.
Yeah, a big chopping board full of meat, man. That's all I'm seeing on TikTok right now. So what's your opinion on it? Like, do you like it? Do you not like it?
Well, if you look at the macros that you need to consume, it's protein and fats, and that is what the carnivore diet is pushing, just eating protein and fats. Obviously, it's not just fats, otherwise there'd be a lot of unhealthy things in there. I like the message it promotes, but But for me, with any diet, I just don't like when it says you can't eat this. Like, I just don't like restrictive things. I love pasta, so I can't eat pasta now because I'm carnivore. That just doesn't make sense to me. Do I think there's benefits to the diet? Yes, there's obviously benefits, but in terms of like what we do performance wise and like long term strength, I would say like taking elements of the diet is good and some elements aren't.
Again, I think it's a kind of look at me approach. Oh, I can live without carbs. Like, wow. Like, and the best diet is a diet you can follow. Doesn't matter if there's no carbs in there. If you hate it and you're just doing it so you can post it on social media, or you're just doing it because you can and you want people to know that you can cut carbs out, but realistically you're dying inside and you're really, really thinking about having like ice cream or whatnot, then
yeah. I think
pointless.
I think the benefits of these diets, like we look at keto or vegan or carnivore, all of these diets stem from people having issues that are quite general. So like, if you're always bloated and you hate being bloated, you're probably eating a lot of carbs or you're eating a lot of food. And an extreme switch to being keto, where you're going to be eating low carb or no carb, is going to have a great impact on the things that you're wanting. You're going to be less bloated. You're going to lose weight, and you're going to go anecdotally, that worked for me. This is for me. I adopt to this diet. It's not a one size that fits all. It's one of those, like a lot of people who go carnivore say they feel more mental clarity, they feel better, but those are the same people who are eating probably bad before. So it's almost like if you go on any diet and you have an experience where you felt slightly better, you're probably going from one normal diet to an extreme, and that hard switch can make you attach things that you feel like this is good. And it also just gives you something to say about yourself. Like you were saying, that's something that everybody wants, really. I eat mince, rice, and veg for breakfast, and I love telling people that because I know it pisses them off and they think it's weird. And I get a kick out of it. So, of course, I can completely relate.
And what you said there, I think is really, really interesting, hinging on something, right? So there's loads and loads of examples of this, but if we just look at the carnivore thing, so a lot of the popularity will be what the people look like that are having the carnivore diet. So you won't just see meat on a board, right? That's not really super interesting. What you'll see is meat on a board followed by someone that's posting it that is shredded to the gills, got a really, really great physique. However, they only just went carnivore 2 weeks ago. How did they actually build their physique? They built their physique and they look great through a diet they enjoyed, eating carbs beforehand for years and years and years. But a lot of people will just see the meat aspect because that's like kind of the trending aspect. They'll see the carnivore diet and they'll think, well, he's eating a carnivore diet and he looks absolutely amazing. And they'll attach that physique to the diet where it might not necessarily be the case. And I know the documentary on Netflix, what is it, Meat Eaters or...
Yeah, Meat Eaters.
Yeah, there's a really, really popular one a couple
Game
of
Changers?
years ago. Game Changers, that's the one.
Vegans?
Yeah, they took a lot of people that were vegan and put them on a pedestal, and a lot of the documentary was around their physique and stuff like that. And a lot of the people in that documentary were eating a vegan diet and showing off their physique, but they'd only been vegan for 6 months to a year, whereas they'd actually built their physique over like 15 years of just a normal diet.
Yeah. And also one thing that we should note just on that documentary is that a lot of people forget when they watch a documentary or they watch a movie about a particular topic that has this kind of effect where, okay, vegans are great, vegans are strong, of course they can be, but you're watching something from a biased opinion. You're not watching an objective documentary. It wouldn't be an interesting documentary if it was objective, You would have a guy weighing up the pros and cons 24/7 in the documentary. You'd probably switch it off. So with that particular documentary, it received a lot of flack, but that flack wasn't publicized because they were picking a lot of cherry-picked studies. And what I mean by that is they were picking studies that fit their narrative so that it looked great. So eating a vegan diet is absolutely great for heart health. There's one study that says this. I'm not saying there's one, but I'm just saying that's what it would be like. This one study tells us this, but if you've been in any kind of science-backed approach, one study is nothing. That's one thing. You need loads of studies on the topic to confirm whether it is good for this one specific thing. So something you got to be wary of.
If you look hard enough, you'll always find something to fit your narrative.
I'mRight.com. That's where you go.
Exactly. So you want to move on to, actually, something I want to cover with that is actually going to be very high fats, right? So obviously if you're cutting out carbs and you're just having proteins and fats, some people will attach the macronutrient fat to them putting on body fat, which is not the case. So I think a lot of people looking at the carnivore diet will think, well, their fats must be super, super high. How are they not putting on body weight? And it's obviously not what it comes down to.
Yeah, calories in versus calories out. If your maintenance to maintain your body weight was 2,500 calories and you ate that purely from fats and a little bit of protein, otherwise you die, then you are going to stay the same weight. Eating loads of fats does not make you gain fat. Simple as that.
Just wanted to cover that quickly.
Just in case anyone.
Before we move on, just in case anyone's thinking that.
Right. Well, the next three things we could probably rattle through pretty quickly. They all kind of group together quite well. So, recently a lot of people have been swabbing their mouths, sending it off to a lab to get some genetic testing, and that can show you what vitamins you are genetically or hereditary deficient in, and what things that you have that you are really good for, and what things you might need to supplement to be better for. So genetic testing for performance, essentially. Now, obviously, you do that one test and that's you set. You don't need to do any other tests, and then you get something that's specific and based on your needs, but it costs a lot of money. What do you think about that?
So I think the overall message of it and like the overall purpose of it is, obviously quite a good one. Like, you're seeing what you're deficient in, you're seeing what your body needs, and that's going to be like extremely person dependent, like we were touching on in the previous podcast with like vitamin D and whatnot. Like, I think the overall message is probably a good one if you can afford to do it and you're trying to operate at the very, very highest level, probably. But like, is it necessary for everyone to go and do that? Again, probably not.
Yeah.
Like, you're probably looking at like a few percentage of like extra progress or extra gains.
Yeah, I mean, John down the road who goes to the gym twice a week doesn't need to do some genetic testing for performance, unless you're dialed in, it's not going to make any effect on you, really.
If you're trying to be like a top tier athlete, like if you're trying to really, really push it in whatever you're doing, like whatever sport it is, bodybuilding, whatever.
Top tier athlete isn't high rocks, but you shouldn't be getting genetic testing to go do well in your high rocks, man.
Yeah, there's another controversial one for you guys. But yeah, like, is it necessary? No, unless you're trying to be like that top 1% in your field, then yeah. Or if you're loaded, let's just say you're loaded and you have the money and you're just curious and you.
If I was loaded, I'd do it. Fact.
Fantastic.
I'd be signing myself right up straight down to Loughborough for a full set of tests.
Yeah. So, do we need it? No. Like, if you want to do it, you have the money for it. You're trying to be the best. Go for it. It's like, I think the overall message of it's a good one, but probably not a good one for like the general population. Like, not everyone needs to be doing that sort of stuff.
Yeah. So next up, you want to pick one?
Leads into the enhanced games, is it called?
Yeah.
Enhanced Olympics is pretty much what that is. If people haven't heard about this, I think it's taken off quite. I was going to say quite a lot, but that doesn't really make sense. It's taken off in America more than it is over here, isn't it?
It's not really being talked about much over here just yet, but it is starting to gain a lot of traction in America. For those that don't know, the Enhanced Olympics, as it sounds, is basically let the athletes do whatever they want to be the best at what sport they do. So take whatever drugs you want, do whatever you need to do, and that is going to lead to world records and going to lead to more interest in sport to watch. If the fastest man who ran Usain Bolt 9.56 seconds is that, that's a record that might not ever be broken unless we start going down this route, essentially. But the whole point of it is the fact that a lot of Olympic athletes are enhanced, and they have to take stuff that is off-brand designer drugs, drugs that are undetectable, that have no testing on them, and that is why it's actually more dangerous to do it the Olympic way, where you're trying to avoid all these tests, but you're still trying to gain an edge, versus just being able to take what you want and having like a healthy approach to doing it, because there is a healthier way of taking enhancement.
Yeah, I think it's important to say healthier way.
Yeah.
I don't think we can say there's a healthy way.
No, I wish, man. I wish.
So is it going to be really, really awkward when we see this enhanced games and then we don't see any records getting broken? Is that going to put a massive spotlight on the Olympic Games right now? And is that just going to be everyone uncovered for taking things? Do you think that's how people are going to view it?
I think that they did, I They did a study on Olympic athletes where they said, if I give you a drug, right, that will guarantee you an Olympic gold medal, but it will take 15 years off your life, would you take it? I'm pretty sure it was like 90% of them said yes.
Yeah, I think on one of the 100-meter races, I think 8 of them, 8 out, is it
Popped.
8 out of 10
Yeah.
or some of them popped for
Yeah.
taking stuff. So it's like,
Yeah. And most of your favorite athletes have been popped in their lifetime. At some point it's been so long now that it's not talked about, you know?
and it's not even just like the more athletic stuff either. It's loads of stuff. You can take lots of performance enhancing drugs to maybe improve like your stability and your focus and stuff like that. It's not just like, or more muscle, more speed. I want to be faster. It's loads of stuff. A lot of stuff you can take, you won't even be able to see it like physically in someone's physique or how they look or how they perform. It's kind of across the board. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to say the least, I think. And
let's probably say, would you want to watch it?
Yeah, I'll watch it. I'll definitely watch it.
I'd much rather watch it. Like, that sounds way better.
But I think they're testing, aren't they? I think the whole point is like they're testing to see if everyone's safe, but they're not putting a cap on what you can take.
Yeah, which is better because there's, you know, if you look at the top Olympians that have been popped for what they do, it quickly gets swept under the rug. But if you look at any top athletes that have been popped, like let's say Lance Armstrong, taking every drug under the sun, but getting away with it for years. One was at 7 Tour de France's, taking EPO, testosterone, all these things, but taking them in very smart ways that he could avoid detection. That's a guy who, when he first started cycling, people would say he would be great for sprints, but he'll never win a Tour de France, to go into winning the Tour de France versus, and I'm pretty sure at the time they said that there's only maybe one guy you could say out of that entire race, the ones he won, where they weren't taking anything. So it's already enhanced, you know, the whole thing.
He got popped, but I think it was like they had to go all the way back.
Yeah, like eighth or ninth place would have been the guy who won, because the first 9 popped too.
Yeah, the actual person that won it. So I think people are technically watching the quote unquote enhanced games.
It's
right
just
now.
more dangerous.
It's just they're not telling people that it is.
Yeah. Which leads on to PEDs. We touched on that briefly. That's always a popular topic in the world of health and fitness. Shouldn't you take them? You know, for me personally, I take them. Keaton here is a saint. He doesn't take. He just takes his Tonkat Ollie and Fadouja, as we mentioned in the last podcast.
A halo. Someone needs to edit a wee halo over my head right now.
I've went over to the dark side, so you know I'm enhanced. On this topic, I don't think it's that controversial for me as it was maybe when I was 16. I would have thought about it way more then than I do now. But for those that don't know, I would say absolutely have an informed decision. Make sure you know what you're going to do. And if you don't know what you're going to do, get someone who does know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think if you don't know what you're doing, it's probably like a relatively good idea to not do it.
Yeah, that's where you hear the horror stories. Like, I mean, I've heard this is a fun one for you. I heard a guy, I know someone who knows him, but he basically was that worried about making his shot of testosterone when he got home from holiday or whatever, that when he got in his car, he loaded up the syringe and put it right through the jeans, man. Right through the jeans. And injected it. No, there's no issue with doing that apart from like it's not sterilized, but like that is ridiculous, you know? Yeah. And if you were informed or smart about what you're doing, nobody on earth would be telling you, oh, you need to get straight in the car, man, and get that right through the jeans. Don't even wait till you get home. You need to get that in instantly. That's a joke.
What do you think about like I don't want to say like normalization, but maybe the popularization of it on like social medias and stuff? So a lot more people are talking about it a lot more openly. Yeah. Do you think that's having an overall positive effect?
I mean, I feel like talking about it more is good in sense of you're going to realize what's stupid and what's not, but making it funny and talking about things like, oh, just take like loads of Tren, that's going to sort you right out, you know, people will always take that the wrong way. But in my opinion, I feel like, you know, it doesn't have to be even about performance enhancing drugs. Anything that is slightly dangerous to do, like alcohol, taking other drugs that are not for performance, people are always going to say funny things about them, and there's always going to be some dumb cunt who's going to end up doing it, you know? And I don't feel like there's any way to avoid it. There's always going to be people who are going to do the stupid thing of doing, and someone who does realize the risks is going to make an effort to avoid them risks.
I'm just going to point out I was laughing at the way that Leon said that and not necessarily what he said.
Which part?
When you said that there's always going to be a dumb cunt that goes and does something. That's not really that funny, but I'm just laughing at the way you said it. I think it's good to point out what's realistic in terms of who's actually taking stuff, just literally from a visual aspect. Because obviously you get a lot of people that get into the gym and they think they don't know what's attainable, and they'll see a lot of people maybe saying that they are a fake natty or they're natty or they're not natty. I think like having maybe a better representation of what's achievable naturally, what's achievable enhanced is a good thing. But I think like the overall talking about it and maybe a little bit of like a less serious discussion is probably a net negative. Like I think it's a very, very, very serious topic that you should, like you said, inform yourself on before you actually go and make any decisions. I think the popularization of it is perhaps making it easier for people to tell themselves, oh, they'll just do it because, you know, this person's doing it or that person's doing it. Like it's a pretty serious thing, obviously.
I feel like the part where you mentioned about, you know, looking at who's natty and who's not to get a representation of what it looks like to be enhanced or whatever.
That's quite hard to do as
well. It is hard to do, and
sometimes.
if you ever watch those reaction videos, it's a waste of time because like they're always so nice. They're always going to be like, oh, I don't know, maybe he is, maybe he's not. You know, they don't even know. You know, some guy who's like skin and bone could have just started taking tests last week. He's not natty anymore, but he's always going to look natty for a good 2 years. But
you'll always meet someone that like you'll show them like someone that's like a novice to the gym. Like I still meet people that think people that are on like men's physique stages, Olympia stages are natural.
Well, just to butter up Keaton's ego here, of the people that I've met and spoke to, you are by far the most person I get asked, oh, you know Keaton, don't you? Is he enhanced? I get asked that a lot. Maybe like 6 times this year so far I've been asked, does Keaton take steroids? And it's like, you know, I hate to break it to you, but he doesn't. I mean, I wish he did because he looks quite good, but, you know, unfortunately not.
Yeah, sorry, guys.
Yeah.
But I think social media and stuff comes down to it a lot. I think if you've seen me just kind of dressed normal clothes on the street,
he's tiny.
You would not bat an eyelid and think, oh, look at that guy. He's a unit, man.
I mean, it's obviously, there's ones where it's clear as day that someone's enhanced, you know, when they're absolute unit. But one good example that I like to see now, again, it's hard to confirm, but I don't see why they'd lie. Ronnie Coleman in 1992 made it to the Mr. Olympia stage, and he says he was natty on stage for that.
But he also said he was 0.3% body fat on the Olympia stage. If anyone's listening, if you're 0.3 body,
you're dead.
You're dead.
Yeah,
you're dead.
You're dead.
You're not alive.
But he, you know, he has no reason to lie. Everyone takes steroids in bodybuilding, and most anyway. But at that stage, like, you could look at certain attributes of his physique and go, yeah, that actually could be possible natural. But you have to realize that is like the most elite genetics you've ever seen. Do not think for a second that's achievable for you. You know, you should see him when he's 14 and think, did I look like that at 14, having not ever trained? No, you didn't. No. So you're not going to look like that. You know, I might spend the next 10 years training and I might just look as good as he did when he was 16, you know, so.
And on social media, it's hard to tell sometimes as well because it's all lighting and angles and how lean you are. And I think, like, personally, I can make my physique look a little bit better than what it actually is in real life just because the angles and the lighting and how lean I am and if I've got a tan and whatnot, you know, you can make your physique look a hell of a lot better. But if you see someone in person, like you're actually with them, I think I'd say it's easier, but I think that's just me and you. I think me and you, if we were with someone one-to-one, we'd probably be able to tell. But maybe for the general population, they wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah. And even then, like, when you speak to someone who's enhanced, and I hear this all the time, they'll know someone who's enhanced, who's quite a big guy. He's not that big, probably doesn't take his nutrition that well, but he's taking steroids. And they'll ask him, because he takes steroids, oh, do you think this guy here takes steroids? And he'll just say yes, because they look better than him.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people who are taking a lot of gear and making a lot of mistakes and have a terrible physique are the guys who say, Keaton here is enhanced just because Keaton has a decent physique and knows what the difference between a gaining phase and a fucking dieting phase is. It's as simple as that. You know, they don't realize, oh, I'm going to take all this gear and I'm just going to get huge. Yes, you're going to gain muscle, but doesn't mean you're going to end up like Nick Walker next week. So
no. I think it's important to highlight that you can take gear and look like crap and you can be natural and look amazing.
I would actually say there's more guys who take gear and look like shit than there is guys who take gear and look great. Fact.
Probably.
Like, if you look at general population, and the guys who are enhanced and look like shit, I ain't telling you. They're not telling you I'm enhanced. They're telling you I don't even take it serious, but they're going home and they're jabbing up. So,
and that's another important point on in social media and stuff like that. You see, I wasn't even going to say liars, to be fair. We can dive into that if you want. But the best physiques that you see on social media are typically like the genetically elite. Like that's why you see them, because they are like cream of the crop. Like they look absolutely unreal. That's why everyone's liking their stuff and it's coming up on your For You page or whatnot. Like they maybe built a little bit more for like bodybuilding, if you want to say that.
And you can probably tell that I've spent a lot of time looking at these physiques, and especially when they're younger and stuff. But like, look at Chris Bumstead when he's 18, natural, right? He's got a better physique than I have after 2 years of being enhanced, and probably than I'll ever have, just because that's the way he's been built. You know, if you look at him at 18 years old, I think he's got his top off and he's playing like Frisbee or something. The guy looks like 4 times my size, never touched a drug, probably had no idea about nutrition or training, just doing what he thought was best, you know. And that's not me knocking it. It's just, obviously I'm jealous. But like, that is just, you have to realize that is the power of fucking absolutely great genetics and people who are just designed to be in the sport.
Yeah, some people are just built for like that sport. Some people are just built to look good, aren't they? Some people just look great no matter what they do.
Yeah.
And it's those people that go to the gym and touch a couple of weights a few times and take it semi-serious for a couple of years, and they'll still look great.
And it applies to everything. Like, I mean, Keaton's always saying to me how jealous he is of my hair and how good my hair is. And that's just genetics. You know, it's just genetic. He'll never have my hair. So what can you do?
Your beard, man.
Yeah, my beard, the thickness,
Viking
man.
Beard.
Yeah.
God's sake. Wish I could get that.
But yeah, I think that's probably the point of hot topics there. So
good place to end it, probably.
So that is the end of episode 5. Thanks everyone for listening in.
If you've listened this far, then I'm going to put a wee poll on this podcast somewhere. Vote for it. Give us a wee rating on Spotify. Give us a like or a subscribe on YouTube. I don't even know what you can do on Apple Podcasts. Can you rate it?
Add it to your podcasts? I don't know. We don't listen on Apple. We listen on Spotify.
I'm not an Apple guy, but if you're on Apple right now and you're listening, go and have a wee nosy at what to do to try and help us out.
And share it with your friends.
Yeah, share it with your friends.
Shout it from the rooftops.
That's the biggest ones. Come on. Best podcast about it.
Right. Awesome.